Oh my God!
I shouldn't have come out to play with the big boys, Ian, because you're about to get a proper Scottish welcome.
What?
Hey guys, we just got done watching Uncharted.
That's right, everybody. Is this treasure hunt movie worth exploring? Stick around, because we're about to find out.
All right, Billy, Uncharted, who's in this movie?
All right, man, we got Spider-Man himself, Tom Holland.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and he's, you know, and he was actually pretty good fit in this because he's doing some Spider-Man-esque moves in this movie, man. He was
Yeah,
freaking
there's some
running and
parkour
jumping around.
action going on.
Yeah, it definitely was. Of course, we had Mark Wahlberg, right?
Playing Sully, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Even though he, I think he's a little younger, probably looking, definitely a little younger looking than the Sully in the game, man. But yeah, you know, but of course he's Mark Wahlberg, so he does a great job no matter what he's in, right? We had Tati Gabrielle, who I remember her from Netflix's You. She did a great job in that in the last season. We had Rudy Painkow, who's in Netflix's Outer Banks, and I enjoyed his character in that. So I think they both did great in this movie.
We got Antonio Banderas, Puss in Boots himself,
Yeah, that's
Mr.
right.
Zorro.
Oh yeah. He had a pretty good role in this. Okay role in this, I guess.
I thought they could have utilized him much better.
Yeah, I think so too. But it was cool to see him. You know. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it.
So what'd you think of this cast, though?
It was good, man. I enjoyed it. I thought that I thought there was you know, a good dynamic between the cast members. I thought you know, the chemistry between Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg was good. You know, and the girl who played Chloe. You know, I thought the three of them worked well together in it. I thought the chick that played the main villain was well, it's funny seeing her in You as this like really nice girl, right, for the most part, and then seeing her play this ruthless kind of killer. And this, you know, there's just two different, you know, very different roles. So it's kind of cool seeing her be able to actually do those two types of roles differently and doing well. So I thought she did a good job in this movie doing that.
I'm a little torn on the cast because I played the video games. You have not, right?
No.
So I played the games, and you know, Nathan Drake, you might think he's in like late or mid 20s, which Tom Holland is. The problem is Tom Holland looks younger than he actually is.
Right.
So he looks kind of younger than a Nathan Drake. And the other issue is Mark Wahlberg, even though I think he's 50, which might match up with the game with the age gap, but he also looks younger than his age.
Right.
So that creates kind of like issues because Sully looks much older in the game than Mark Wahlberg.
Sully's got like the gray hair.
He's got all gray hair,
gray
gray mustache, and of course Mark Wahlberg doesn't have gray hair or anything like that in this.
Right.
So Nathan Drake to me is probably in between a Mark Wahlberg and Tom Holland as far as the gap, the age gap. Perceived age gaps, I should say, on this.
Right.
So that kind of threw me off a little bit.
Well, then it makes you wonder, like, I mean, it would have been pretty simple for them to freaking have Mark Wahlberg grow out a mustache and his diet and then dye his hair and his mustache gray, right? So, you know, kind of makes
they may do that for
that.
later movies, but that also raises another issue is, this is based on a video game, Uncharted, but it's a complete unique story.
Right.
Sully is more of a father figure in the game, and he's not in that kind of role whatsoever in this movie.
Oh, no, dude. Yeah, no. And in this game, he's kind of the backstabbing partner.
In this game?
In this game. In this movie, he's more the backstabbing partner who's really, for the most part, out for himself, right? So
yeah, and that dynamic doesn't really exist in the game where these two are pretty tight from the get-go. And here, they are leery of each other,
right.
or at least Tom Holland's character, Nathan Drake, is leery of Sully.
And as he should be, the way he's portrayed in the movie, right?
So if you're a huge fan of the games, they change so much, but I don't think that necessarily is a bad thing. It's just different.
Well, no, because, I mean, you got to think, each game's got its own story, right? You know, different story, different treasure hunt, whatever in the games. So there's kind of just like another one, right? Just a different story of its own, right? So that's the cool thing about adapting video games like Uncharted or any type of series game. Because then you can just make this in addition to it, or just kind of a different story, but it's still based, you know, loosely off the same characters. So
yeah, I mean, it is a little different that you're borrowing from that license, but you're completely changing it up at the same time, though. So it makes you wonder, like, you could have called this something else, and it would probably be just as good, especially if you got Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg attached to it. So
yeah, I mean, you're gonna make money when you got those two dudes in the movie together, no matter what.
Because I mean, the tone here is a lot different than the game. There are elements that are left out that really change things up. There's another female character that's really prevalent that's missing from this entire movie. So maybe she'll pop up in other movies because this one does seem like it could take place before that, even though they're not following the chronological order of the games. But I don't know.
Right. So I know you and I were talking about this earlier. What did you think about that little Easter egg in it, man? So Nolan North. Yeah, that was kind of cool, right?
That was cool. I think a lot of people in the theater were confused what was going on there, because you could definitely tell that it was like an Easter egg meant to like go, oh, that's interesting. There it is. But some people in our theater were at least confused. But I thought it was pretty cool to incorporate that.
I thought it was awesome. And the funny thing was, like, whenever they had that person in there, you know, I was like, okay, he's got something to do with the games probably. And then you kind of leaned over to me and told me who he was. I was like, okay. Because it would just been too awkward for this random guy to be there, right? So you knew there was something about that person, right? So
even in the movie, like this guy, so in there, like, okay,
right. He's like, yeah, it's just happened to me once before too. Right?
But getting to the movie, what are your kind of thoughts on that?
I thought it was good, man. What I really enjoyed about the movie is it was pretty action-packed, you know, for the most part, throughout the whole movie. You know, there wasn't really any dull moments in the movie. There was really no slow parts for the most part, you know, just them constantly on the go, just trying to get to the next place in the treasure hunt and the next place, and, you know, it's finally where they get reach the treasure's end. And I tell you, man, the last main scene, right, the chase scene at the end was like very original, dude. I was like, holy crap, you know, you ain't seen nothing like that before. So that was pretty dang cool, and I thought it was very original storyline for them to bring up to do something like that. You know, having 2 helicopters lift these giant freaking ships out of the water, and they're having fight scenes on these ships. You know, it's almost like a Pirates of the Caribbean, but ships in the sky. You know, yeah. So that was pretty cool.
That was pretty unique. Now, this is a treasure hunt movie. Yeah. What did you think about like the breadcrumb clues leading to the ultimate like treasure in this?
Where most of them are left by his brother, right? And on postcards, but it never explains how his brother figured all that out. So that was kind of it was almost like when we were talking about the Death on the Nile movie we just saw, right? Like how did these people figure that? How did he figure it out? So how did the brother figure it out? None of that's explained to us, and maybe if they have another movie, it will be. So that in itself to me was kind of like, yeah, it's great that he's got all these clues, but how did he get them?
The other weird part was like they're going through catacombs or sewers, and it's leading to other places that are like bars and clubs, and I'm like, you could have like bypassed this whole step maybe and like discovered this somewhat by accident. I mean, you need these 2 crosses, but the final adventure, like where you're finding these ships, has like a huge hole in the cave, and anyone could have just looked down there and found both these ships and bypassed the whole like treasure hunt aspect of this. And I thought that was like pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, because the hole's big enough to lift these ships out of, right? So yeah, no, absolutely, anybody should have been able to just fly over that thing and look down. I'm like, oh, wow,
I mean, one of these like clues leads them to a Papa John's, and I'm not even joking.
They're like, Sully, are you here? He's like, dude, I'm in a Papa John's.
So I mean, that was kind of interesting, but like you would wonder whether these relics would still be there with these businesses and stuff like that. Like nothing's covered up, changed, demolished, and if they did demolish some aspect to build these businesses, they'd probably discover some of this stuff.
What I will say, a lot of this to me, dude, it was very Goonie-esque, right? As far as like the booby traps and all that stuff, and then I mean, it was hilarious when Tom Holland's character, Nate, when he finds the ships. I mean, I was just ready to see Sloth jump off the ship, be like, "Hey, you guys!" It was almost like exactly like watching a Goonie right there.
Could have snuck in a Baby Ruth or something.
That's right, man. I was waiting for the Fratellis to like show up, start shooting people,
Yeah, I mean, so there are some issues there. There's also some bad tropes, like someone's talking, pointing a weapon at them, they cock the hammer. That's just a common movie trope. Right. Someone gets knocked out with a pistol, they get pistol whipped and get knocked out, and they're fine the next day. Right. And people are getting their throat slit, and there's hardly any blood. But I mean, I guess that's this is a not an R movie.
Yeah,
so.
It's PG-13, which is why. Yeah. But and I noticed that too, because one person got the throat slit, and there was like no blood. It was like,
yeah, you're like, you're probably still all right, man.
Just get back up, dude. You're okay. I don't think they actually got you. Yeah, that was a little weird, but again, like you said, PG-13. I guess they just can't be showing all that blood and gore and stuff. But I mean, other than that, man, it was fun. I thought it was a fun movie. I enjoyed it. I thought it was from beginning to end. Like I said, I didn't think there was any slow parts. I enjoyed the ride. For what it was.
Yeah, this is a goofy kind of adventure movie, very similar to like a Red Notice or a Jungle Cruise.
Yeah,
to me, it's in that same kind of vein. I mean, it doesn't take itself too seriously. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of comedy sprinkled throughout.
Yeah, no,
I wish the adventure would have been a little bit tighter, but they do have some interesting set pieces with the ships and the cargo plane, and the cargo plane is kind of ripped from a scene in Uncharted 3. So that was kind of cool to see.
Yeah, no, that was cool. And what I thought was a little weird is that they started out the movie at that, right? And then it showed a couple minutes of it, and then it just flipped to, flipped the script to the beginning when he was a kid, and then it just went all the way through the movie and then came back to that again. So I didn't necessarily think that was necessary,
I think they wanted to try and hook you with like a cool
right
action
off the bat,
scene.
yeah. And I understand that, but at the end of the day, I just didn't think it was necessary to have that in there like that. But whatever. But like I said, they were just trying to hook you into it. So
yeah, and then when you did catch up to that scene later on, it was almost like a little bit different perspective of being inside the cargo plane.
Right, vice just him being on the outside of it. Yeah, exactly. But I mean, yeah, man. Like I said, I was expecting it to be a good movie, and I thought it was a good movie.
I'm always interested, and I think it's a little comical when you got these villains, though, that have significant resources. I mean, they have helicopters, they have C-17s. These are multi-million-dollar like aircraft, but yet they want the gold, you know. And exactly. I guess they try and bring this back to like a family history thing, at least initially,
right?
Even though that gets kind of like sidetracked, like so. Yeah, the motivation for more money always is kind of comical to me when they already have a lot of money to begin with.
Yeah, exactly. And granted, and especially when they're saying the value of this, right? They're saying, okay, the treasure's probably about $6 billion, and it's like, well, man, the amount of money you spent trying to find that treasure is probably pretty damn close to that to begin with, So. Yeah, I don't know, man. But like you said, in this, they threw the family aspect in there, and it's our family's right to have this money and, whatever. But, yeah, I kind of wouldn't get in that either, but that's with pretty much any movie like that, I guess, right? So,
yeah, so you're not going to be wowed, I don't think, by the story in this.
Nah. The story's not what wows you. What wows you, especially, like I said, it's very Goonie-esque in parts of it, man. It's just kind of like, it's nostalgic in that aspect, right? When you're watching them go through the booby traps and all that, it's like, oh, yeah, man, it's kind of Goonie-esque. It just kind of brings you back to your childhood if you're our age, So I thought that was kind of cool, getting like a present-day version of that, and like I said, it was very nostalgic for me. It made me think of the Goonies a lot during some of those parts, and I was like, man, this is pretty cool.
Yeah, it does have more action than that, but I would say the Goonies story is probably better.
Yeah, overall, the Goonies story, yeah, absolutely.
So what would you rate this movie?
Well, the acting, the action, I mean, man, I'm caught between 7 and 8 on this one, I think, man. I mean, I really enjoyed this movie. Like I said, I didn't find any dull moments in it, really, I mean, were the parts that were a little goofy that we talked about, sure, but you're going to get that in any kind of movie, So, yeah, I'm going to go with an 8 on this. I'm going to give it an 8.
Oh, wow, okay. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to rate this a 7. I think it's right in line with a Jungle Cruise type of movie and things like that.
So I thought it was better than Jungle Cruise, man. I mean, Jungle Cruise is okay.
I like Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, oh yeah, and they were great.
And that elevates it maybe, but
and they were great in this movie together.
But the story is just like pretty forgettable. And the fact I have a hard time forgiving it for that setup of the treasure hunt when they could have just found a hole in the ground and discovered all that. Like that to me is bad.
Yeah, no, I understand that, but. Dude, it's Hollywood, man.
Look what we bring
Hollywood, dude. They got to come up with some cool way, right? To get these ships out of there. So you had to have a hole in the freaking ceiling, man. So
yeah, well, something's got to provide the light,
Yeah.
So
but then they did have the overgrowth of like the trees and stuff above and everything, So hey, man,
Yeah. I mean, it was cool seeing the pirate ships and that. There were some instances cool, where they found the gold and like Tom Holland picks up like a huge gold shield, and I'm like, that thing would weigh like so much for you to pick up and just throw to the side like that.
Well, number one, and number two, gold shields were decorative, right? You didn't use them; they were just decorative, and they sure as shit aren't going to stop a bullet. And this dude's shooting like 4 or 5 bullets into it, and Tom Holland's holding this gold shield.
I think if it was like a solid gold, like a sewer lid.
Yeah, but this wasn't. That thing was pretty flimsy freaking, it
looked flimsy, shield. That's what I'm saying. But if that was like actual solid gold, it would weigh a decent amount.
Oh, wait. Yeah, exactly. But it wasn't. This was like a thin, like I said, a decorative shield, right? This wasn't a freaking real shield. So, those bullets would have right through that. But hey, again, it's Hollywood.
There's a lot of Hollywood going on in this movie. So.
Right, yeah, no doubt about it.
I mean, even when he's skydiving and the speed he's going when he's catching stuff, I'm like, you got to suspend belief for this movie, and everyone, is not surprised by that here. So
no. Yeah, you definitely got to. Yeah, you definitely got to just let your imagination run wild on this one because a lot of shit happens it wouldn't happen in real life. So
yeah, but to me, it's just a 7. It's about average for this type of movie for me. So.
Like I said, I thought it was better than Jungle Cruise. That was better than Red Notice, even though in Red Notice I did like the kind of who the villain was. Like, you didn't really figure it out until the end kind of thing. I like how they did it with that. But overall, I did enjoy this movie better.
See, that's another thing. The villain, I wasn't that
enthralled
with the villain
because,
like
right.
Antonio Banderas, they don't really use him that much, and he's not that memorable.
Well, and then he kind of
he gets kind of like
taken
set
out of the
aside,
picture. Right.
and then the other person is. I'm just like.
Now, like I said, I did like her ruthlessness in it, and especially since I've seen you and saw the kind of nice, sweet person she was in that, and how she comes to play this ruthless, kind of villain in this. I thought it was kind of cool that she's got that dynamic. That ability to play 2 different characters like that, but yeah, you're right. I mean, they could have done something a little more exciting with the villains.
Yeah,
so maybe now you got me rethinking myself. So maybe my 8 was a little too much, but I already said it.
You already said it. It's on record.
It's on record. It's an 8, so I'm gonna stick with it, man.
All right. We know who's right here, though. So
you're probably more on the money on this one for sure. But again, I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the movie, and I recommend you check it out. And check it out in the theater. It was a fun movie to see in the theater. I mean,
it's a fun popcorn movie.
Yeah.
I don't really regret seeing it, but
I mean, it's one of those movies. You take your teenager to, take your kids to, and have a good time again. Because there's no, I mean, I don't even remember there's any cussing in this movie. There is very little.
I think there's very little,
and there's a little bit, barely any blood and stuff. Just good family movie, really good family adventure movie. I think.
I will say what I really did like is the dynamic with Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, dude, it was awesome.
They're very entertaining. And that's what kept me going throughout this. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So hey, there you have it. Great flick. Go check it out in the theater. And hey, if you did see it already and you enjoyed it, let us know. Let us know what you thought if you didn't like it. If you're a huge gamer and you played all the games and you just want to talk about, the characters and stuff, kind of like Josh did. I know how many of them did you play? Like 3 of them?
I played 3. I didn't get to the 4th one, unfortunately.
Yeah, so hey, let us know what you thought about the games compared to the movie. And hey, and of course, like we always do, we'll answer back and we love talking to you guys. So hey, until next time, we'll see you at our next review.
See you guys.
Yo, 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 yo!
What's the tagline?
Think of something witty, man. Think of something witty.
I gotta think of something smart. Do you even know?
Think of something witty.
What are you doing here? Is this movie better left unexplored, or left uncharted, or left?
Is this movie worth exploring? Shit, no. You got something head, man.
Yeah, take those things off.
Something witty.
Take them off, Grandpa.
Yeah, no kidding, man. That's right, everybody. Is this treasure hunt movie worth exploring? Check around.
Check around.
Check around.
Check around. Check around. See what Angry Joe thinks. See what Jeremy Johns thinks.
And check out that other dude too, who's gonna produce his own movie now.
Why are they gonna do my boy Antonio Banderas like that? That was kind of surprising.
Yeah, man.
Uncharted. That's a good game, man. You gotta play that thing.
Yeah, dude. PS5, man.
You having me look like a bum on this? Like I just woke up, probably.
48 now, man. Not
Jesus!
Anymore, man.
What are you doing? What's with the polo shirt? Wearing a polo? Why so formal? Why so formal?
Why so formal?
Hey, put them down, boys.
What is that thing on your face?
Yeah, puberty's right around the corner, kid. You can grow your own.